Madam Clerk, would you please call a roll?
Councilman Gillespie? Councilman Wood? Councilman Argo? Councilman Miller? Councilman Renner?
Here.
Councilman Fink?
Having a quorum being established, I hereby call this special session of the Prattville City Council to order. We are ready to conduct business. We have one item on our agenda this evening to authorize the issuance, execution, sale, and delivery of $3,100,000 principal amount general obligation note of the City of Prattville and the payment thereof. Dr. Miller, would you please introduce resolution number 1?
And David, this is a long one. Do I read?
Just read the resolution part. You don't have to read the form of the note.
So,
as always, you don't have to read it in entirety, but if you want to do so, you certainly don't have to read the form of the note.
okay.
You have to read the title. It's perfectly legal.
Is everybody awake now?
First two. Okay. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama, the municipality as follows. Section 1, definitions. A, code shall mean the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. B, refunded obligation shall mean that portion of the principal of and interest on the following series of warrants of the municipality due on November 1, 2010. 1. $19,875,000 General Obligation Economic Development Improvement Warrant Series 2006A dated April 1, 2006. 2. $1,595,000 General Obligation Warrant Series 2006 dated April 1, 2006. 3. $9 million General Obligation Economic Development Improvement Warrant Series 2000B dated September 1, 2006. And 4. $14,920,000 General Obligation Economic Development Improvement Warrant Series 2007 dated December 1, 2007. C. Tax certificate and agreement shall mean the tax certificate and agreement dated the date of delivery of the note delivered by the municipality with respect thereto. D. Notes shall have the meaning assigned in Section 2A. Section 2, findings and representations. The municipality, by and through its governing body, does hereby find, determine, represent, and warrant as follows. A. The municipality has heretofore issued the refunded obligations pursuant to and in full compliance with the laws and Constitution of the State of Alabama, including, without limitation, Amendment number 772 to the Constitution of Alabama of 1901 as amended, now codified as Section 94.01 of the Official Recompilation of the Constitution of Alabama of 1901. B. It is necessary, desirable, and in the public interest for the municipality to provide for the payment of the refunded obligations and for such purposes to issue its General Obligation Note Series Fiscal Year 2011 in principal amount of $3,100,000 as authorized and described herein, the note. C. The note shall be due and payable in less than 1 year and is made and delivered, and amounts shall be borrowed thereunder in anticipation of the collection of taxes. The general revenues of the municipality for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2009 were not less than $31,690,705, and the unaudited general revenues for the municipality for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2010 were not less than $32,068,351. The principal amount of the note shall not be more than 1/4 of the general revenues of the municipality for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2011. D. The population of the municipality is 24,303 according to the 2000 United States Census of Population and Housing effective as of January 1, 2003. E. The proceeds of the refunded obligations were heretofore applied for the purchase of real property and various capital expenditures by the municipality, including, without limitation, the following. 1. Capital improvements to the municipality stadium, including improvements to the playing surface and various other improvements. 2. Road and street improvements, including related curbing and drainage along Cobbs Ford Road. 3. Redesign and upgrade of the intersection of Cobbs Ford Road and Redfield Road. 4. Construction of a new conference center at the Marriott Prattville Hotel at Capitol Hill. 5. Site improvements in connection with the development of the retail shopping center to be located at the intersection of Cobbs Ford Road and Redfield Road. 6. Public infrastructure improvements along Cobbs Ford Road, Rocky Mount Road, and Old Farm Road. And 7. Certain road and utility improvements and other public infrastructure at the intersection of Cobbs Ford Road and Interstate Highway 65. Section 3. Authorization, description, payment, and form of note. A. The municipality shall borrow the amount of $3,100,000 in such amounts and at such times as shall be necessary for the purposes set forth in Section 1 hereof, and the municipality shall issue therefore its general obligation note series fiscal year 2011 in the following principal amount and of the following number to the following financial institution to evidence a line of credit extended by such institution to the municipality for such purposes. Note number R1, principal amount $3,100,000, institution, Regions Bank. B, the note shall be dated the date of issuance, shall bear interest at the per annum rate or rates, shall be payable in installments of principal and interest in such amounts at such times and in such manner, shall be subject to redemption prior to maturity, and shall be registered and transferred, all as provided in the form of the note in Section 3E. C, the principal and interest on the note shall be payable in lawful money of the United States of America at the principal office of the registered owner thereof in Montgomery, Alabama, at par and without discount, exchange, or deduction or charge therefor. The municipality hereby covenants and agrees to pay all bank charges for the note. D, the indebtedness evidenced and ordered paid by the note shall be a general obligation of the municipality for the punctual payment of the principal of and interest on which the full faith, credit, and taxing power of the municipality are hereby irrevocably pledged. E, the note shall be in substantially the following form. In witness whereof. Come show me.
Section 4, execution of the note.
Okay. Section 4, execution of the note. The note shall be executed in the name and on behalf of the municipality by the mayor and shall be attested by the clerk of the municipality, and the official seal of the municipality shall be imprinted thereon. The registration of ownership of the note shall be executed by the treasurer of the municipality, who shall also make the endorsements required at the time of any transfer of the note. Said officers are hereby directed to so execute, attest, and register the note, and to make the appropriate endorsements and notations thereon. Section 5, authorization of issuance of note. Note number R-1 is hereby issued to Regions Bank. The mayor and the clerk are hereby authorized and directed to effect delivery of the note, and in connection therewith deliver such closing papers containing such representations as are required to demonstrate the legality and validity of the note, the absence of pending or threatened litigation with respect thereto, and the exemption of the interest on the note from federal and state income tax. Section 6, payment, redemption, and the retirement of the refunded obligations. The mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to apply the proceeds of the note to the payment of the refunded obligations. Section 7, expenses of issuance and collection. A, the municipality hereby agrees to pay all expenses of issuance of the note. B, the municipality covenants and agrees that if the principal of and interest on the note are not paid promptly, as such principal and interest matures and comes due, it will pay to the registered owner of the note or its registered assignees all expenses incident to the collection of any unpaid portion thereof, including a reasonable attorney's fee. Section 8, covenants with respect to federal tax exemption for interest, designation of note as bank qualified. A, the municipality hereby covenants and agrees with the registered owner of the note that it will duly and punctually observe and perform all agreements and covenants thereof under the tax certificate and agreement. B, the municipality hereby covenants and agrees with the registered owner of the note that, to the extent permitted by law, it will not take any action or omit to take any action with respect to the note that would cause the interest on the note not to be and remain excludable from gross income pursuant to the provisions of Section 103 of the Code. C, number 1, the municipality hereby designates the note as a qualified tax-exempt obligation for the purposes of Section 265B3 of the Code. The municipality does hereby represent that neither it nor its subordinate entities have issued in the aggregate more than $30 million of tax-exempt obligations during calendar year 2010. The municipality does hereby further represent that, based upon confirmations and representations by officers of its subordinate entities, it reasonably anticipates that the amount of neither qualified tax-exempt obligations nor tax-exempt obligations which will be issued by the municipality or its subordinate entities during calendar year 2010 will exceed $30 million. 2, the terms used in this section in quotation marks shall have the respective definitions and meanings provided by the Code. Section 9, Special Agreements of Municipality. The municipality agrees that the occurrence of either of the following events shall be an event of default with respect to the note, whereupon the registered owner of the note may exercise all remedies available at law or in equity consequent thereupon. 1, failure to pay the principal of or interest on the note within 10 days of the date on which any installment of principal of or interest on the note shall become due and payable. Or 2, the occurrence of any of the following: the appointment of a receiver, liquidator, or trustee of the municipality or any of its properties or assets, or a general assignment by the municipality for the benefit of the creditors thereof, or the commencement of proceedings by the municipality or against the municipality and not dismissed or unstayed for a period of 60 days under any bankruptcy, reorganization, arrangement, insolvency, readjustment of debt, dissolution, or liquidation law, or any jurisdiction now or hereafter in effect. Section 10, Severability. The provisions of this resolution are severable. In the event that any one or more of such provisions or the provisions of the note shall, for any reason, be held illegal or invalid, such illegality or invalidity shall not affect the other provisions of this resolution or of the note. And this resolution and the note shall be construed and enforced as if such illegal or invalid provision had not been contained herein or therein. Section 11, Repeal of conflicting provisions. All ordinances, resolutions, and orders or parts thereof in conflict with this resolution are, to the extent of such conflict, hereby repealed. Section 12, Provisions of Resolution, a Contract. The terms, provisions, and conditions set forth in this resolution constitute a contract between the municipality and the registered owner of the note and shall remain in effect until the principal of and interest on the note shall have been paid in full. Mr. President, I so move.
Dr. Miller has moved resolution number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Reniger. Any discussion on resolution number 1? Mr. Gillespie.
Not necessarily discussion at this time, but I do have a letter given to me by a citizen, and with your permission, I'd like to read it. I'm sorry. Not a discussion at this time, but I've had a letter given to me by a citizen. With your permission, I'd like to read it into the minutes and have it attached to the minutes.
Mr. Gillespie, I would ask that you not read the letter. It's unfair for those that are here to not have an opportunity to speak, but to read letters. But I would, if you don't mind, would like for you to ask that it be attached to the permanent record so that it becomes a record of the minutes, if that's all right. And then we'll have the clerk make copies for the council.
If that's how you want to handle it, yes, sir.
Well, I'm asking you if that's how you would like to handle it. If you want to read it, I will recognize you for that purpose. But there are others here that I'm sure that would like to have letters read and people to be recognized to speak, and that we don't do that at a special called meeting. So
I'd just soon go ahead and read it if you don't mind.
go right ahead. You're recognized.
Thank you. It is unfortunate the council did not allow for citizens' input at the work session last night. The ideas and suggestions might have provided information that may not have been considered. It is my understanding that Mr. Argo will not be allowing any citizens to address the council at tonight's meeting, thus preventing yet another avenue for citizens' input. This is the reason I am writing this letter. There are several classifications that I hope will be discussed, or at least given thought to, before this resolution is passed. Supposedly the council will have a revised resolution before them tonight. per Mr. Argo's comment at last night's work session. My questions are based on one presented at the October 19th council meeting and also questions related to said loan. The revised resolution may already address some of the questions. My questions are as follows. 1, why is the payment term listed as 180 days versus the 3-month time period that has always been stated? Seems this would then double the $13,000 plus we would need to pay Regions Bank. Am I correct in assuming this? 2, the debt service payments are listed in the aggregate amount of approximately $3.1 million due on November 1, 2010. This amount represents the 3 EDI GO warrants and 1 GO warrant for a total of $3,059,280 and loan and lease payments of $159,347. I feel these shall be detailed and individually separated principal and interest on each, not as a lump sum. Are the loan and lease payments, 3, are the loan and lease payments due November 1st? If not, the due dates for these should be listed separately. 4, why should there be any other document reasonably necessary to carry out the intent of this resolution? Please detail this language, specifically name the other possible documents. 5, what will be the payment due for the 4 warrants on May 1st? If we're borrowing money for the November 1st payment, what is to guarantee we have the money necessary to make the May 1st payment? 6, what will happen if the city does not realize the November sales tax receipts to make December debt payments or the business and sales tax figures it is counting on to be able to make all payments, including operating expenses, etc., beginning in January? 7, what are the bond, loan, and lease amounts due for each month starting December 2010 through September 30th, 2011? Also, what is the projected revenue and expenses less these amounts for the same period? 8, is a $1 million reduction in the city's budget really adequate to meet all of the city's needs, i.e. operating expenses, vendors, wages, leases, etc., for 2010-11 fiscal year, or will we be borrowing more money? Certainly hope these will be answered tonight. We citizens have less than 2 weeks to comprehend and digest this idea. If all the councilmen were blindsided as they said they were, then they will have only had the same amount of time. I would think any ideas would be welcome. John Lee Finnegan. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion from the council on resolution number 1? Clerk will call the roll. Resolution number 1.
Councilman Gillespie? Councilman Wood? Councilman Miller? Councilman Argo?
Aye.
Councilman Reniger?
Aye.
Councilman Bolt?
Aye.
Councilman Fank?
By a unanimous vote of 7-0, resolution number 1 is adopted. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything to close the meeting? Mr. Gillespie.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just really need to say, Mr. Morgan, we're on very thin ice here. I think a lot of the answers that you have given me have been very unforthright. I know earlier before our budget, I talked with you privately, and I asked you a question: why are the vendors calling me? Why are they not getting paid? And you told me that the money was being put into our debt reserve fund because we had this bond payment coming up. My fault there is I did not ask you what was the payment and did we have enough. But I think that if you've been forthright with me, you would have given me that answer up front. Mr. Mayor, after our budget hearing, you told me it was a job of the council to provide the funding, and it was your job to manage the funds. It's hard for me to imagine that you say you didn't know about this bond payment when you're the main cheerleader behind this, and this is your job. Mr. Mayor, with that said, you've been disingenuous with this council. The citizens are problem, and with that said, I think you owe the council and the city an apology. Thank you.
Mr. Wood.
No.
Dr. Miller.
I would like to just make a couple of comments. Again, and some of these are going to be repetitive from what I've said earlier. It is very disconcerting to me to have to borrow money to pay borrowed money to, use the MasterCard to pay off the Visa card. As we have peeled away the layers of the onion, we have discovered more and more and more information that is concerning. some more than other, but all falling into that category of information that, had it been presented to us in a forthright manner, in a timely manner, this council would have addressed a lot of the business that we addressed throughout the past several weeks, months, and even years in a different fashion. I'm not looking to place blame. I'm looking to move forward from this point. I hope that we continue to have unity across the council in terms of facing the task before us. We've got a lot of things to talk through, a lot of things to consider, and I will close by saying that, again, for me, finding out about this need to borrow money to pay a bond payment shortly after we passed the budget on October 5th, when that information was known in advance but not shared with us, has been a watershed event. And from this point forward, I'm committing to myself, my family, my constituents, and this community that I'm ready to step up to the plate and look at Prattville's future and make some tough decisions that need to be made in order to continue to have the preferred community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Mr. Reniger.
Dr. Miller expressed my feelings and opinions quite succinctly, so I'm not going to bore y'all by repeating what he said. Thank you, Tom, for reading from my script.
Mr. Bowles.
I just want to say thanks to Rod Morgan. I know it hadn't been an easy road for standing up here and answering all our questions when it should have been the mayor answering all the questions. Thank you for trying to lead us out of this mess. Thank you to President Argo, Tom Miller, and Mike Reniger as our finance directors. They are taking, I can promise you guys, they are taking the bull by the horns. Changes are coming. And thank you, gentlemen. I know it's not easy. Third, I want everybody to understand that if we did not make this bond payment, your property taxes would go up. That's the reason I supported this amendment tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fank. Members of the council and ladies and gentlemen, I think what you have, most of you have witnessed over the last week, over the last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks, last month, has been a exercise in bad government. We haven't done a very good job. We thought we were making good decisions based on the information that was available to us. Those decisions over the last couple of weeks have proven to be decisions that would have been made differently had we had different information. The good thing is that what we have done tonight is we have given ourselves another opportunity to make sure that our bills are paid, that our bond indebtedness is paid, and that we will be able to move forward from this, as Dr. Miller said, a much healthier council, a much healthier administration, a much healthier city. I know that's hard to understand when you're borrowing $3.1 million, but sitting from where we sit, we're going to have to make some difficult decisions over the coming days. And our commitment to you is that the way that business was conducted 3 weeks ago and the way it's going to be conducted from here on out is going to be totally different. And you're going to be able to see the evidence of that by attending our city council meetings or watching them on the internet. The mayor and the council, in working together, are going to, as Mr. Bowles said, we're going to take the bull by the horns and we're going to deal with this. It's very difficult when you put 14 years into a term of office and then that you believe that you've done some good things, and then you look back and realize that this year could be the toughest year we've faced in 14 years that I've been on the council. That's difficult. But I do believe in my heart, because I am an optimist, that we are going to come out of this healthier. We're going to come out of it better, and we're going to be on solid financial footing when this council has the correct information, all of the information in front of us, and that we're able to make decisions based on that information. So with that, I'm going to remind you that our next council meeting is next Tuesday evening, November the 2nd, which is Election Day. I encourage you all to go and vote, which I know most of you will. You have some difficult decisions to make, as do I, on November the 2nd. But no matter how those decisions shake out, we have to all go and vote. Dr. Miller.
I'm sorry. I appreciate you letting me say additional thought. And I didn't say earlier, but I do want to thank the citizens who have brought ideas, suggestions, and questions forward. And I know there are a lot of different areas that can be looked at. Different people have said, what about this, what about that? And I just want to say a sentence or two about this process that we're going to undertake in terms of revisiting the budget for fiscal year 2011. Basically, since we are under a kind of an emergency authorization to keep the lights on and paychecks coming and things of that nature, but without a new budget, we've got a little bit of time, if you will, to make some decisions around what needs to be done for the 2011 budget. And I think the whole council really value the importance of thoroughly understanding how any areas that we address in terms of budget cuts or revisions or whatever are going to impact things. And that's why we're taking extra efforts to try to do the research and understand everything that's behind each of those areas, if you will. So I kind of like to describe it as we're not going to start doing a shotgun approach. We're going to try to get all the information we can about all the different pieces so we can make some, some well-founded, logical, rational decisions about what needs to be done. And that's why you may not see something quick. You may not, you at least in my mind, didn't see a lot of attempts to try to figure out how to avoid doing this, because it gets into that bigger arena of what we're going to do with the budget at large. So at least from my perspective, I think that I do want to thank you. Those ideas are all good. Those suggestions, those thoughts, keep them coming. They'll be very important as we go through this process, but given the time involved and the deadlines and everything, we didn't have time to start doing things that weren't part of a more comprehensive, well-thought-out approach to the entire budget by picking and choosing here and there things that might have related to trying to deal with part or all of this issue that we addressed tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Members of the council, that exhausts our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye.